Hello, hello, welcome, and thank you so much for being here at the 4th annual Fluxx conference, or Fluxxcon for the sake of brevity, hashtags and the like. We are so appreciative for you guys being here today, and for those of you who attended the training yesterday, we hope it was illuminating and interesting and fascinating. For those of you who attended the welcome session, I am so pleased San Francisco showed up, as it does, bringing both summer and winter into the same 3-hour period. So thank you for braving that. I was inside the whole time. So as a quick introduction, as there are some new faces in the audience, I am Kerrin Mitchell. I'm one of the founders at Fluxx. From the very beginning, I know I speak for myself, Eric, and the founders to say, we are honored to have everyone here to be able to see this vision come through. As founders of the technology, we had this vision for how tech could really transform the social sector. And in that, our hope was, and continues to always be, that we can help you guys augment the great change you put forward. And that's really our goal, is to be the framework in that. In that light, we are humbled to be that, and we appreciate all the great work you're doing. The genuine care, obviously, and commitment of that vision is shared by our leaders and our staff here today. And in that, on behalf of all of us, we thank you and appreciate your attendance. In terms of the community itself who's here in the room, there are many of you that actually know each other in one-off relationships and affiliations. Oh, I have these slides. Who knew? It's actually just there. First slide. But in that, the community itself is actually really wonderful. And I know we use the term community a lot, and it's really important. It's really why we do what we do, and it's the common kind of idea of a definition, a goal, an attribute, a group of people that share, something together. And this sort of existence can be within an org, it can be with your grantees, it can be across the entire ecosystem. So what I thought, again, would be interesting is, as one-off individuals, you guys have a vision for what you do, but maybe it might help to look at this growing community of Fluxx and see kind of where it's gone. What's amazing is, by the numbers, it's been a quick ascension into a really important player in the philanthropic space. When you look at the fact that this is an 8-year in-the-making community, it's staggering to look at the $25 billion that have gone through the system, to over 300,000 nonprofits. Being able to come together and have that impact is material. And the group here today, again, one-off, are very fascinated in the goal and the intent, but as a mass, you guys are defining the execution and the strategy of how those dollars mobilize, and that's nothing it's absolutely mind-boggling. In that, we also see an impressive number of obviously assets under management and such, so the potential of where you can take this is even bigger. Moving on, you can see actually by geography. So we actually mapped and kind of said, okay, where is everyone looking? Where are they from? Where are they funding into? And you see that while 80% of the actual clients are US-based, in fact, the global reach is over 197 countries. So we're talking, again, about a very global existence. And the actual build-out of these, you can start to see, essentially, communities starting to build in the regions themselves. From the regional groups that have started to build in Western Europe to Washington, California, Canada, Colorado, New Zealand to New York. These are huge groups that are starting to find quorum and be able to, again, engage in local levels to be able to affect change. And I think that's a really compelling thing when you start to see that mobilization. In cities like Chicago, even more so, you're seeing not just the foundations come together, but nonprofits and even the public sector, the city of Chicago, all sitting at the same table, figuring out how to work together. It's a really interesting time in philanthropy in that sense, and that inflection point of where we are thinking as a collective is really quite impressive. In looking at the causes, and this was sort of generalized a bit, so I realize the causes are actually much more of a spectrum than this, but we wanted to show you that as a unit, you actually support capacity building in a very real way. Environment, education, and other social causes as well are a huge part of what you do. But again, this is a really exciting opportunity when you think about that as a common denominator. And the part that gets really exciting is when you start to even overlay it further to say, well, what if we take those geographies, we take those different causes, and we bring it to an even larger picture? And when we actually mapped this out using software, we found out that this is the network in which you guys sit. So you're somewhere in those dots, each one of you. And in that, the power of that is basically to see this as a flattened out network where in fact you're engaging not just with yourself, with peers, with grantees, but with each other. And when you look at this and you realize that every single group here has a seat at the table, it's really inspiring us to think, okay, we can actually make this happen. The connectedness is more there than not. So really the idea of a network, it already exists. You guys are already doing it. The fact is that technology and the role of Fluxx, perhaps as a framework, is that we can help unveil some of these pieces. And while we have a lot of things that we're excited to bring to you from an operational sense, we're also excited about this idea of how do we step forward as a unit, as a unified group, as a network. So we recognize our role to support those structures. And we are here this week not only to inform you about how we can help, but more importantly, we want to hear from you on what it is that you need from us, whether that is on an execution level, a strategy level, but we want the authorship to sit with your teams around really where this can go. So find Fluxx people. They're running around. I think most of them have cool shirts. The idea then is to basically give us that information, let us understand your vision, illuminate what you think the network can do. And what I'd like to do at the end of every day is come back up here and kind of read out and let you know, here's what we heard. So for all of you in the audience, that's the call to action that I bring to you is let us know what your vision is. Help us understand so we can create that with you as a framework that can basically build that technology underneath and support the great change you're doing. All right. Without further ado, I want to introduce Dan. Most of you know Mr. Schoenfeld. He is the guy that you can come up. He is the guy from Knight that always seems to be presenting at conferences, or more likely, you may have probably seen him at the happy hour where he talks about the fact that Burning Man is an industry conference. It's not. But as a longtime grants director at Knight, Dan has helped countless folks in the management of their networks and process reengineering and the such. I'm sure a number of you have actually chatted with him. Actually, a statistically significant large number of you have probably chatted with Dan over the years. But we are so honored that you are now here in your next chapter as the chief evangelist at Fluxx. You bring what a wonderful perspective and kind of pioneering many things with the grantee experiences and other things. But more importantly, you've always been a great advocate for the voice of the client, which is something that we really are championing. So anyway, Dan, they're all yours.
Thank you. All right.
Oh.
Wow.
I get music.
I had no idea this
was
going to be my theme music.
Right?
Awesome. All right, sounds good. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Kerrin. It's a magical journey about how I got here. This year's theme is inspiring philanthropy. It's our hope that you're going to leave inspired to do what you guys do best, and that's make positive change. I couldn't be more excited to be here this year. Joining the Fluxx team, it's been a whirlwind journey. Being on this side of the podium is a little awkward. Usually I'm on that side, so you'll forgive me if I forget that I no longer work at a foundation. But personally, I'm happy to be transitioning from Knight Foundation and working with all my friends and all my former colleagues in my new role. And for those I haven't met yet, I look forward to getting to know you this week. This week is going to be full of amazing opportunities to learn from Fluxx experts and each other, network with fellow Fluxxers, get a glimpse into the future of our product and our community. We'll have open discussions around overcoming the challenges you face and getting the right work to the right person at the right place at the right time. All the while, we're going to focus on a bigger picture, Kerrin alluded to this, the entire ecosystem, grant makers, grant seekers alike, and how you can build capacity, improve visibility, and increase collaboration in the philanthropic network. And as the new guy, I get the lovely task of talking about housekeeping. So before getting too carried away, we're going to talk about a few orientation notes so you can get around the conference. First, there's only one breakout session today, and the room location signs are throughout the venue. So if you get lost, find someone wearing a lovely Fluxx shirt. They will point you in the right direction. The Wi-Fi password is also there for your reference, and obviously this is very important to everyone. We'll also have an app to help you manage your experience. Download it. It's pretty cool. The app will actually help you with your schedule. You can submit questions to speakers. You can network with each other, form groups for drinks, dinners, all sorts of cool stuff. You can also reference streaming keynote speakers, as well as stay up to date on various awards, announcements throughout the day. Our sessions will be starting on time. Therefore, we appreciate your punctuality and presence. Recognizing you guys are all busy and there's a million things going on and you do have day jobs, we know you might have to step out for a call here or there. Please feel free to do so. In the meantime, make sure that you silence your cell phones when you're in the rooms, but feel free to tweet. The kids call it #Fluxxcon 2018. Don't worry, in addition to the sessions, there's gonna be plenty of space for people to hang out, talk, arrange your own conversations, indoor, outdoor. The weather seems to be cooperating. It is sunny and beautiful. Very happy that view is distracting everybody, so you don't have to stare at me too long. But again, I wanna thank everyone at Fluxx who made this possible. If you see anyone walking around in a Fluxx shirt, just like grab them, hug them. They've been working night and day for months on this. If you have any problems, there's an information desk right outside, and Fluxx people are always going to be present there to help out. And lastly, and most importantly, we want to thank you. Without you guys, this doesn't exist. As a small token of our appreciation, a gift bag was provided to you at registration. And while it's not as extravagant as Oprah's gifts, we hope you actually enjoy it. So looking at the agenda on day one, it's chock full of some amazing keynote speakers, fireside chats, breakout sessions. You'll be able to learn from our experts, learn from each other. We're also extremely excited about the debut of our Fluxx Vision video and jump into some amazing live demos from our product roadmap. And this will all culminate in everyone's favorite part of the conference day one, which is the cocktail reception. So again, thank you all for being here, and we look forward to a great couple days. Thanks.
Great. All right. So let's jump on into it. We have the first item is actually the fireside chat. I'm going to invite David Callahan and Daniel Lurie to come up to the stage for basically just a conversation. A little bit of background on both. David Callahan, as many of you know, is the founder and editor of the Inside Philanthropy, which not only covers news and trends of fundraising and philanthropic community, but also connects funders and nonprofits through extensive resources, newsletters, and such. David is a prolific writer with over 7 books published focusing on the social sector, American culture, public policy, and business. And most recently, he's published the widely read book, The Givers, Wealth, Power, and Philanthropy in a New Gilded Age. So this is David. Daniel's coming up as well. Daniel is the founder and CEO of Tipping Point Community, based here in the Bay Area, who's raised over $250 million to fight poverty. Tipping Point supports initiatives in the education, employment, and housing of nearly 500,000 people here. As part of that, they screen nonprofits rigorously to find, fund, and partner with many promising groups, helping low-income people achieve self-sufficiency. Beyond those dollars, there's like disco music going on behind me here. Beyond the dollars, they obviously provide grantees with the communications, technical, and management assistance needed to maximize impact. And actually, on a personal note, Daniel and I have known each other since we were 14 years old, and we worked at a sports camp together, and even though he did peg me with a football from across the entire field, I still remain a big fan of him, so thank you. In front of like 47-year-olds. Thank you, guys.